Hello, my Triple E drivers. How are you doing? Hope all is well. We filmed Icacos just days before it changed forever. Welcome back, everyone, to the driver's seat. Today we are at one of the most remote and fascinating parts of Trinidad, the village of Icacos, right at the island's southwestern tip. We were here on Labor Day, June 19, a holiday commemorating the 1937 Butler oilfield riots. It's a day that honors the fight for workers' rights in Trinidad's history. Little did we know we were visiting an area whose geological foundations were about to have a riot of its very own. Families were enjoying the long weekend, fishermen were going about their day, and the sea was as calm as ever. 5 days later, everything changed. Powerful earthquakes struck off the coast of Venezuela, roughly 700 kilometers away. Although the epicenter was far from Trinidad, apparently the effects reached all the way where parts of the Icacos shoreline were lifted above the water, exposing soil that had been hidden beneath the surface for generations. Looking back, these recordings captured the area just days before that devastating event. At the time, nothing seemed unusual, and we continued on our drive without giving it much thought. Only afterwards did we realize how significant this part of Trinidad would soon become. But this video isn't about the earthquake. We are on Icacos Beach Rd heading westerly. It's about a place where history, wildlife, and nature come together in a way that's unique to this part of Trinidad. Icacos feels like the end of the road, and in many ways it is. People enjoying chutney music at the roadside bar. Beyond here lies the Gulf of Paria to the east and the Columbus Channel to the south, with Venezuela visible across the water on a clear day. This corner of Trinidad has long been shaped by the sea. The weather is very overcast. The Icacos Primary School is to our right. Fishing remains an important part of life, while nearby mangroves, mudflats, and wetlands provide some of the richest wildlife habitat anywhere on the island. There is also oil and coconuts. Now for a bit about the history of Icacos. I am not a historian, so viewer discretion is advised. We will cover it as we drive along, so stick with me now. Okay, there we go. Long before Europeans arrived, the southwestern peninsula was a crucial gateway for the fullest peoples, mainly the Warao, who crossed a narrow, turbulent 11-kilometer channel from mainland Venezuela. They named the area Icacos after the Icaco shrub, Chrysobalanus icaco, which grew abundantly along the sandy coastline and is commonly known in Trinidad as the fat pork plum or cocoa plum. Now, the Serpent's Mouth or Boca de la Serpent is a narrow marine strait located between the southwestern coast of Trinidad near Icacos Point and the northwestern coast of Venezuela. It serves as a major channel connecting the Columbus Channel to the Gulf of Paria. On August the 1st, 1498, Christopher Columbus anchored off the peninsula during his third voyage. He named the sandy point Punta del Arenal. While anchored, a tense encounter occurred when a large canoe carrying 24 indigenous men approached. In a bizarre attempt to communicate, Columbus ordered his crew to play drums and dance. The first peoples interpreted this as an act of war. St. Andrew Estate is on the left. Continuing, interpreted this as a war ritual and launched a shower of arrows before retreating. Icacos Roman Catholic Church on the right. Back to the history. Due to the terrifying violent currents churned out by the nearby Orinoco River, Columbus famously named the strait Boca de la Serpent, the Serpent's Mouth. Legend has it that Columbus never actually set foot on Trinidad. He was suffering from painful attacks of gout and remained on his ship. But he left behind something extraordinary. On the night of August 2nd, a giant wave, a remarkable swell caused by a change in the tide, crashed against one of the ships, the Baquianos, snapping its anchor and sending it to the bottom of the sea. Those are saffron finches flying around. I did get a video of them later, so look out for that. That's a ruddy ground dove on the road, a common backyard bird. Continuing. In 1877, laborers working on the Constant estate unearthed a large bronze anchor, almost 200 feet from the shoreline. It was cleaned and exhibited by the estate owner, Francois Agostini, who sent it to fairs in Rome, Paris, and Chicago, where it was positively identified as a 15th century Spanish anchor, undoubtedly Columbus's. A cow is gently moseying along up front. The anchor survived a devastating fire at the Royal Victoria Institute, and today it rests in the courtyard of the National Museum in Port of Spain, a direct physical connection to the moment when two worlds collided. Here at Icacos, I'm searching the stream for a kingfisher. None seen. Columbus also gave a name to the group of 7 sandstone rocks he saw in the bay. Carved by centuries of wind and sea, he thought they looked like fighting roosters. Los Galos. There's that cow on the left, or is it another one? Today, only 4 of those 7 rocks remain. Maybe 3. Eaten away by the relentless forces of coastal erosion. They stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time, a reminder that even the most solid things are subject to change. That looks like a cattle egret flying up ahead. Yes, lots of cattle egrets among the cows. On the right is the Constance estate. This is the beachfront at the end of Icacos Beach Rd. Right, let's head back. Continuing, following the Spanish cedula of population in 1783 and the arrival of the British, Icacos transitioned into an agricultural powerhouse. Unlike the rest of Trinidad, which bowed to sugar and cocoa, Icacos became the capital of Trinidad's cocoa nut industry. Massive estates like Constance Estate, thought to be the largest in Trinidad, and Columbia Estate dominated the landscape. In 1907, a massive coconut oil factory was erected at Constance Estate. Its famous chimney was built using 20,000 Glasgow bricks used as ship ballast. In the 1800s, the Icacos region was transformed into a patchwork of estates. Right, let's push on. Continuing, the largest was Constance Estate, a 712-acre plantation. Other estates included Columbia, San Quentin, Mount Piru, and Prospect. These names are still found in the villages and roads of Cedros Peninsula today. The land was initially used to plant sugar and cotton, but after the abolition of slavery in 1834, many estates went bankrupt. The owners turned to other crops, and it was coconuts that proved to be the most successful. In 1871, Francois Agostini purchased Constance Estate and dedicated it to coconut cultivation. The export of copra, dried coconut meat, and coconut oil became the economic lifeline of the area. The coconut industry brought a steady, if humble, prosperity to the region. But nature was not kind to the coconut industry. On June 27, 1933, a hurricane with winds of 120 kilometers per hour tore through the peninsula, uprooting most of the trees. It was a devastating blow from which the industry struggled to recover. The hurricane was unnamed, as meteorologists first started naming Atlantic hurricanes using a formal alphabetical list of names in 1950. When the U.S. Weather Bureau began using the phonetic alphabet, such as Abel, Baker, Charlie, etc. In the 1940s and 1950s, red ring disease attacked the remaining trees. Then, in 1885 and again in 1954, huge swarms of locusts devastated some 900 acres of coconut plantations. There are quite a number of cows in the area. The Cedros wilt disease, also known as heart rot, further ravaged the crops. The road is very narrow in some places. It was an ongoing battle against an onslaught of natural disasters and disease. The coconut growers, including Agostini, formed the Coconut Growers Association in 1935, banding together to try and save the industry. Today the area is a quiet fishing village with coconut estates. The main community is known as Bonas, a name of French origin meaning easy going. People here make a living through fishing, net fishing, line fishing, shrimp fishing, and the coconut industry. The surrounding swamps are now considered a protected wetland sanctuary. We are on Lalla Rd. The Lalla Rd Hindu Mandir is on the left. It's a holiday, so lots of kids are out having fun. Just to the left ahead is Punta de Arenal, the most southerly point of the Caribbean. Don't worry, that was just a cut. A copper-rumped hummingbird was in the bushes nearby, or is in the bushes nearby. I had to photograph him through the windshield, as he would have certainly flown had I opened the door to get a better shot. My focus was off though. Can you guess what bird this is? It's a magnificent frigate bird. It's known for robbing other birds of their fish. This was a very interesting vine formation. There are two volunteers on the electricity pole. The rain is down. Here is a rainy view of the Icacos Hindu Mandir. Apparently the name is the Ganga Suk Shanti Mandir and dedicated to a Mrs. Googly Budram. There isn't anything on the internet about this mandir, but I'm sure the locals know the history. The camera acted up a bit here, so I had to stop to fix the problem. The sun is back out. Hopefully it stays with us. So we are on the Icacos Beach Rd, but this time heading easterly. Lots of swallows on the electricity line. We spotted a saffron fringe on the electrical stay wire. This is the saffron fringe. It's stayed for photos and videos this time around. Looks like a kiskadi on the floor. Continuing, the villages scattered across the peninsula are remnants of the old estates. Fullerton, named after British Army Colonel William Fullerton. Colombia, named in honor of Columbus himself. Bonas, which once occupied the Union Sugar Estate. These names are the ghosts of a bygone era. Over the generations, East Indian indentured laborers and later African workers settled the area. The old wooden primary school even educated a future Prime Minister, George Chambers. Today, although there are many coconut trees, estates have largely faded due to diseases like red ring. The community relies heavily on the sea, with shrimp and driftnet fishing driving the local economy, right on the edge of Venezuelan territorial waters. Okay, so that was a brief history of Icacos. Now on to my wildlife experience. One of the things I was especially hoping to see today was a rufous crabhawk. On a previous visit, I was lucky enough to photograph one here. It's not a bird you're likely to encounter in many parts of Trinidad, and Icacos is one of the few places where you have a realistic chance. I have seen it in Point Gagliota and Mandalina, and here in Icacos. I was also keeping an eye out for ospreys. Lots of possibly crested or pendulous net on this huge tree. I was also keeping an eye out for ospreys, another species I've regularly seen hunting these coastal areas and the protected wetland. We searched the utility poles. We checked every promising perch, and sometimes that's exactly how bird watching goes. Searching and searching, but did we find it? You'll have to wait and see. We are back at the Icacos Government Primary School. Nature doesn't work on our schedule. But while the birds I expected never appeared, Icacos had plenty of surprises waiting for us. Almost immediately we began spotting pale-vented pigeons, one of the common residents of southern Trinidad. The sign says Pirates Camp on the left. Then came black-necked stilts, their impossibly long pink legs allowing them to wade effortlessly through the shallow wetlands in search of insects and other small creatures. Purple gallinules added flashes of brilliant blue, purple and green as they wandered among the marsh vegetation. The Icacos gas station is closed today. The Icacos Health Center is on the left. On the left is the Southern Main Road, and on the right, where we started the video, this is the Boute Grande Chemin Road. Nearby, jacanas seem to almost perform magic, walking across floating vegetation with their enormous toes and spreading their weight over lily pads and aquatic plants. It's to no surprise they are often called the Jesus birds. One of the real highlights of the day came in the protected Icacos Wetlands. An adult flamingo stood quietly feeding, accompanied by 6 younger birds. We have videos and photographs of these, so look out for those. Seeing flamingos in Trinidad is always special, and watching a family group like this was an unforgettable moment. Their growing presence is a reminder of the importance of protecting these wetlands, which provide feeding grounds for so many species. Looking skyward, magnificent frigate birds drifted effortlessly overhead. With wingspan stretching over 2 meters, they can remain airborne for hours, using air currents while rarely needing to flap their wings. Over the water we found black skimmers, one of the most unusual birds in the Caribbean. Their lower beak is longer than the upper one, allowing them to fly low over the surface, with that lower mandible slicing through the water until it snaps shut on a fish. A giant egret stood motionless with open wings in the shallows, patiently waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Cormorants dried their wings after diving beneath the surface in search of fish, while black vultures circled overhead, performing their important role as nature's cleanup crew. Southern lapwings were busy defending their territory, and before long we discovered why. A youngster was nearby, carefully watched over by its attentive parent. One unexpected visitor was a yellow-headed caracara. Unlike many birds of prey that specialize in hunting live prey, these intelligent falcons are remarkably adaptable, feeding on everything from insects to carrion and even pigs picked from livestock. We are at the road's end, so I am turning back. Onioni tree. And sea grape. Okay, we are heading back to the Icacos Junction. Perhaps the biggest surprise of the entire day was the Boute falcon. Fast, agile, and rarely seen, this small raptor is one of Trinidad's most exciting birds of prey. Spotting one was completely unexpected and easily became one of the highlights of our visit. In the coconut tree, a lineated woodpecker announced its presence with loud drumming before revealing itself on the trunk. Even tiny birds made an appearance, including the copper-rumped hummingbird, one of Trinidad's familiar hummingbirds, but always a pleasure to watch. Not everything we saw was natural. Still looking for that elusive kingfisher. Far offshore, oil platforms stood against the horizon, a reminder that this coastline also plays an important role in Trinidad and Tobago's energy industry. That's one of the things I enjoy most about exploring places like Icacos. You never know what you're going to discover. Sometimes it's history, sometimes it's wildlife. Sometimes it's a reminder that even the most peaceful looking places are constantly changing beneath our feet. We came here hoping to find a rufous crabhawk and a few ospreys. Instead, nature rewarded us with flamingos, a bat falcon, dozens of other fascinating birds, and without us even realizing it at the time, a final glimpse of part of Icacos coastline before the earthquake a few days later. Thanks for coming along on another drive to Trinidad. Okay, we are turning right into the southern main road. That's it, a brief history about the area. Now stay with us for the wildlife and drive around. We will go to the protected wetlands and also Fullerton Beach. The Icacos Mosque is on the right. This is a video I had taken on the way in. This is a photo I had taken on my way in. The milepost says 121.5 kilometers from Port of Spain. At this point, we are scanning the trees for the rufous crabhawk and ospreys. These cows are so peaceful to look at, don't you think? The wetlands begin around here, so we are stopping to look for any interesting wildlife. There is something on the wire ahead. Could this be what I'm looking for? Looks small though. Whoa, it's a falcon. A Boute falcon. What a rare find. Very first time seeing one in this area. What other treasures are there? A black-necked stilt. Purple gallinules. St. Quentin Estate is on the left. We are approaching the main wetland area now. People have stopped their vehicles to observe the wildlife. We are also scanning the area. Three great herons. Two didn't trust us and flew away. The police are on patrol. We saw this great heron fishing by using its wings to simulate a shady area for the fish to hide. These are wattled jacanas. Tricolored heron. This is one adult American flamingo with 6 immature ones. Black vultures spread their wings in a behavior known as horaltic pose, to regulate their body temperature, dry or damp feathers, and use the sun's ultraviolet rays to bake off bacteria and parasites picked up from feeding on carrion. We are on the way to Fullerton. No sign of an osprey or rufous crabwalk as yet. Boats on the roadside. We are turning into Fullerton Road. This is a lineated woodpecker. We didn't see or spot a rufous crabhawk, but we did see this common black hawk. A great find indeed. Most likely Carib rappers. Lots of kobo on that tree. An oil pumping job is on the left. Okay folks, we'll end this video here at Fullerton Beach. Hope you found value in our video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until the next video. Bye for now, my Triple E drivers.